Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about part 2 of the Path of Exile 3.16 Balance Manifesto, or at least the bits and pieces that we have now available, provided from GGG. This is a 3-part series that already got released. I'm just a bit late. Okay, yesterday I uploaded the part 1, which was like flasks and ailments, which or has a positive effect on me, that I say, okay, we're going back with the flasks, and we also get more options to deal with elemental ailments and stuff. So I really like the way it is going. So today we're going to check out part 2, which is core character defenses and recovery. And I would say let's start right into the action. In our upcoming 316 expansion, we're making a number of balance changes. Yesterday we began our 3-part series by talking about our plans for flasks and ailment mitigation. We strongly recommend reading that post prior to this one. Today's post covers our plans for core character defenses and recovery. Tomorrow we'll reveal the 3rd part of the series, which covers our plans for auras, curses, and elemental damage over time, which is already out. Just saying. We've assembled this article as a set of identifying problems and our intended solutions. Below each solution is a spoiler tag with the specifics of what we're currently intending to change. Please note that as we are still a couple weeks out from release, anything here subject to change based on our further testing and your feedback. So, core character defenses and recovery. We're doing a major balance pass to improve defenses and recovery for all characters. The goal here is to put more power into the core defenses, armor, evasion, and energy shield to make them the best way to mitigate the kind of damage they are best at preventing, while taking some that power away from the one-off mechanics that provide a significant defense for too low a cost. While some individual mechanics have been nerfed, this is overall massive buff to defense across the board. Previously, there were some very tanky characters, but they were gated behind specific niche mechanics and uniques that were not accessible to everybody or everyone. What we're doing here is moving a lot of that power to everyone else, so the core defense are far more powerful than they were before. We're also making sure that every type of character has plenty of ways to mitigate a much more diverse set of damage types. For example, Evasion mitigates attacks well, so we are introducing spell suppression to help Evasion builds protect themselves against spell. Overarching problems. Got English Barrier. Dodge and Blind provide more mitigation for fewer passive points and item slots than other defensive types. Attack Dodge does this in a form that is almost identical to Evasion, but it's far more efficient. Removing dodge entirely and review certain powerful mechanics like blind and fortify for non-melee characters improve almost every other scalable defense type significantly to make them more powerful. This includes armor evasion, energy shield recovery, and spell block. The problem, armor as our core stat doesn't provide sufficient defense with low to medium investment. Armor characters instead rely on a number of other mechanics to provide them with a defense against physical damage that armor is meant to provide. Solution, improve the armor formula so that armor is more powerful, providing better mitigation across the board, and increase the strength of modifiers on items that add the base local armor. Okay, previously if you had a 10,000 armor and you took a hit that dealt 2,000 physical damage, you'd receive a hit by 33%. Now you'll reduce that hit by 50%. So, just as a small side note here, reaching 10,000 armor is okay, I would say. But then you actually have to invest into armor already, because I think like maybe I'm wrong here, but I think the average melee character that is not really focused around armor but still using armor bases, for example, an astral plate and stuff like that, they barely have like 2,000-3,000 armor. So I would say 10,000 armor is already a lot investment into armor. Obviously, with a granite flask and stuff like that, you could get well over 20,000, like the Exsanguinate champion that I played that had like 20-25,000. But this was also in combination with the shield that I was using that I forgot its name. The shield that gives you like recovery, energy shield based when you block and stuff like that. A rule of thumb with the new, or at least like, note, this was originally posted with an incorrect value and has been updated. Okay, good. A rule of thumb with the new armor formula is that if you want to get 50% mitigation against a physical damage hit, you need 5 times the damage as armor, when previously it required 10 times the damage. As example, if you want to mitigate a 5,000 damage hit down to 2.5k, you used to need 50,000 armor to do this. Now you only need 25k armor. Only. Yeah, 25k armor is shit ton, dude. Increase the strength of modifiers on gear that add base local armor, and added a smoother progression of tiers, as they were currently very low until the highest tier, and had some levels where they was no new tier for a large number of levels. This will now average result in items with higher armor on them, especially during the campaign and earlier maps, and make it much more affordable to reach decent armor values. Like, this is the thing. For me, personally, if I want to craft gloves, for example, for my Cyclone Slayer, for example, right? I know I want to get, like, the melee-based gloves, the spike gloves, because of the implicit. What prefixes do I want? I want life and physical damage. Do I want to have armor on them? I mean, if it's on there, it's great. But I'm not like, yo, okay, first priority, I need armor. Then I need life. Then I need everything else, right? I think, like, armor, evasion, all of this kind of things just move so in the background, basically. If it's on there, it's fine. If it's not, like, who cares, you know? That, like, this is probably the approach that I do have, and I think a lot of other people have too. And I think this is exactly what they want to change. They want to be, like, making armor and things like that good that you actually be like, yo, I would like to have life and armor on these items. Like, if we're doing build guides, you know, what are we referring on rare items? Yeah, get life resistance, life resistance, life resistance. You know, how often does it do you hear build creators be like, okay, what you want to have is armor, life, and resistance? Like, never. At least not as far as I know. So probably that's like one of the reasons why we don't care about it, because it's not that impactful. Armor provided by base types can now be up to 10% higher as a part of variable base type system detailed below. Determination has been buffed to provide both a flat bonus to armor as well as existing more multiplier to armor. Like, Determination is an aura that barely anybody used based on the things that I just said, right? Determination, I mean, it's a 50% aura. It just gives you, like, a fart, more or less, right? So I think those will... I'm not sure if this will actually change, you know? Like, 50% mana reservation means that you can reserve less damage auras, and if your damage sucks, you can have the tankiest build ever. If you're not playing hardcore solo self-found, your build generally will suck, because it's not gonna be fun to need like 20 minutes to kill Cyrus on Awakener 1, right? Okay, you can face tank everything because you're tanky, but if there is no damage, like, you know? New suffix modifiers have been added to all armor-based body armor and shields to provide up to 8% physical damage reduction for each slot. I hope this is a prefix. I think it's a suffix, but what I find, especially for physical builds, you lack prefixes. You have, like, life and you have physical damage to attacks, for example, and suffixes, all the resistance, I don't know, like crit multi, all of these kind of things are all suffixes. Like, sometimes I really wish that you have, like, 2 prefixes and 4 suffixes instead of 3. You know, for rings, it's basically the same. What you want to have on a perfect ring, like, life, physical damage, and then hope for an open prefix that you can craft, like, minus mana cost or something. There is, like, not a lot of prefixes that you could actually use there. Additional physical damage reduction mods were discontinued from all other rare modifiers so that large values could be provided on the above 2 slots. Okay, body armor and shields. I remember that amulets had physical damage reduction. I think body armor as well, and I think helmet or something? I'm not sure. New suffix modifiers have been added to the armor-based gloves, helmets, and boots to provide increased life regeneration rate. This works as a multiplier to your life regeneration value. Multiplier is always good. Review monster base armor as a result of changes the armor formula. This may result into no changes if there has been no significant impact on character damage. Okay. Problem. Evasion doesn't provide sufficient defense. Evasive characters instead rely on acrobatics and face acrobatics keys to provide attack and spell mitigation. Yeah, well, this is what you always did, you know, and that's why I also see the problem there, that you say, okay, I have an armor-based character, I have an evasion-based character, or I have an energy shield character. I mean, energy shield is something different, because usually if you go energy shield, you go either low life or you go like CI and just remove all of the other sources, right? But if you go Evasion, it was always like phase acro accurate. It's like the first thing you want to do, you know, if you're range or something that you skill on the right side. So Evasion itself, I don't know. It's definitely my least favorite among those three, because I like permanent mitigation, right? Like armor gifts or a high amount of resistance is a permanent damage mitigation. If I run around with 90% all res, you know, I'm permanently having 90% all res against the elemental types. The same with physical damage reduction, it's permanent. Evasion, yeah, even if I have 90% evasion or like dodge, spell dodge 75%, yeah, most of the skills will never hit me. But if it hits, I'm a one-shot. And this is why I don't like those evasion builds. Like, I just like flat mitigation, you know? So yeah, I probably get hit by every single attack, but it doesn't matter because none of those will kill me, you know? I think this is like way better than actually having like a super dodge character. Solution, remove attack dodge entirely. Oof. Substantially buff evasion so that it is as good option, make it sure it's easily available in items. So make attack dodge removed entirely. Yeah, well, you still have evasion. Like, chance to evade, more or less. Like, personally, I don't really never understand the difference between evade, chance to evade. This case goes up to like 90%, I think, and chance to dodge. Because in the end, if I dodge or evade an attack, I think one of those two gets calculated before and the other words after. But I think at the end of the day, it's still kind of the same. If somebody attacks me and I evade it, I get no damage. If I dodge it, I get no damage, right? But I think there's like maybe a dodge cap or something, like how many attacks can you dodge per second, maybe like stun and block recovery, but I don't know that there is a stat that is like attack dodge recovery or something. So I think like this is something different but still the same. Specifics, improve evasion. So to have 75% chance to evade against a tier 60 monster, you currently need 49,000 evasion. This is a value that is so high that I only can remember reaching those kind of numbers with like Pathfinder or Deadeye with like Queen of the Forest, super high evasion to get the movement speed. Only need 24k evasion after this change. Okay, that's like pretty good. But it still is the core fact that I'd rather have armor to mitigate flat amount of damage than actually have a chance to not get hit at all. But if I get hit, I get the full amount, the full load, right? But it sounds reasonable, like, so actually armor, evasion, and so on, that will actually bring something, and you would actually cheer if you land a T1 evasion rating on your armor piece or something like that, because you know, based on those changes, it will actually have a massive effect on your character. Yeah, this also like base like 10% higher. It's basically the same with like armor, right? Evasion provides no defense against spells. Yeah, that's actually true, because you only evade attacks. Illusion enters spell suppression on evasion items as well as dexterity section of the passive skill tree, which gives a chance to half spell damage taken. The chance can be stacked up to 100%, convert existing sources dodge and spell dodge to spell suppression, or replace them with other bonuses. That's what I mean. What I don't like is that you have a chance to halve the spell damage. What I do like is can be stacked to 100%, so every spell damage will be halved. It's like a permanent 50% damage mitigation against spell damage. This is something I really like. If I can make my character work towards that, this is good. For me, personally. I mean, everybody plays their builds different, and I know a lot of people that really like those high evasion builds, but even if I have 90% evasion or 90% evade, I'm referring to that one in that case, right? Minotaur, dude, I stand there, I can go grab a coffee. In those 5 minutes, I will never get hit, you know? But if he hits me, I'm just one-shot. I don't like that. I'd rather get hit with every single attack, but I can just out-sustain, out-leech, out-regen, out-flask it, you know, and still be alive, even though I get hit non-stop. So, spell suppression is designed as a dexterity character's best answer to spells. In general, spell suppression gives easier access and more reliable spell damage mitigation for dexterity characters without relying on specific uniques. It is also much more reliable than spell dodge, but has a lower maximum. There will be a few specialized ways to invest in increasing the spell damage suppressed to reward high investment if you want to further protect yourself from spell hits. Okay, spell suppression will be found on various passive skill trees. Like, I'm probably gonna read a little bit faster through because there is still a lot of things, and yesterday's video was like 45 minutes or so. I try to be like faster this time around. But generally, said they're gonna remove attack dodge and just bring higher the evasion rating in general. So they just want to have evade. This was something in there before, and instead of spell dodge, they want to bring spell suppression, which can get up to 100% to half the damage, the incoming spell damage, basically. But this is pretty much it. So, problem: evasion provides no defense against spells. Wait, we just had this. Oh, sorry. Problem: due to armor and evasion not working efficiently as primary defense previously, we've introduced a lot of mechanics over the years that either scale them to effectively or scale off them too efficiently or not well enough. The intention would be that the straightforward way of getting armor and evasion on your items is the best way to maximize its efficiency. Solution: review all mechanics that scale of armor evasion and all mechanics that grant values or increased armor and evasion. I'm just thinking about what. So are we back to the armor stacking? Because remember, the Transcendence build that I played that I'm still very, very interested in, which probably is doomed now. I haven't read through the aura effect changes yet, but I remember we stacked armor, shit tons of armor, and got damage out of the armor. So now with buffing the armor, this could probably be a build that is viable again, which I would love, because like having 99% elemental damage mitigation and that being immune to physical damage, or at least because you convert this, is like such a good build, man. I would love to play that again. So Val Molten Shell gives you like base armor now. The Brass Dome is like the 5k armor or something. Redesigned to be a more properly embraced to identify as high armor body armor while not providing as extreme of a difference compared to rare body armor with the top tier armor modifiers. I think like Astral Plague gets like 2k armor or so with like good rolls, and Brass Dome has like what 6k or something. That's like kind of sick. But yeah, rare armors give you like base crit and influence like explode. I want the explode back, man. The Memory Vault no longer grants gain armor equal to your reserved mana. Instead, now grants 1% increased armor per 50 reserved mana. So if there's a flat value, that means if you reserve like 10,000 mana, if you're like mana stacking, dude, this thing will give you like shit tons of armor. The Formless Flame now grants armor is increased by overcapped fire resistance, previously uncapped. Wait, now grants armor is increased by overcapped fire resistance, previously uncapped fire resistance. Isn't it like the same? Uncapped fire. I used the Formless Inferno in my Transcendence build. That's why I'm wondering, like, it was like, if you had 200 fire resistance, everything above 75, which was your maximum resistance, was counted increased armor, which is like the same. Overcapped is the same as the uncapped fire resistance. Or maybe, let's say you had 200 fire resistance, including the 75. In this way, it's 200. In this way, it's 125, basically. Might be. Creation's Carapace now grants 200 to 250 increased armor. Previously 300, but it's probably... Oh, it was just too much armor. Okay, Transcendence Keystone. Oh god. Now grants a larger penalty to all maximum elemental resistance. Previously 5%. And now? Previously 5%, and now? Hello? Mask of the Tribulon no longer grants nearby allies like, yeah, Avatar of Chase, wait, that was like Raider Ascendancy, right? Snowman Grain, Willow Gift. Willow Gift is an item that is like this amulet, right, that nobody picks up. Whatever. We kind of get the base idea what they want to try to reach here, right? Problem: characters who rely solely on armor are not protected against elemental damage. Add more maximum elemental resistance to areas of the passive tree that have armor on them. I just think of one that instantly jumps into my head, which is like the one over here, which gives Soul of Steel armor, increased armor, and 1 max elemental resistance. So they're probably gonna up more of those, which is insane. Because I know it sounds low if you say like, yo, my character is 75% max resistance, the other guy is like, yo, my character is 80% max resistance, but in the overall, having 80% max resistance is insane. And that's why our attackers were so intense with the defense, because they have like 90% to max resistance. It's like so much damage mitigation. It's insane. So more access to maximum elemental resistance has been provided to armor areas of the passive screen in order to shore up the weakness of armor-focused characters. Yeah, so probably they're gonna add more things like Soul of Steel, which I think is very good. But then it's like a must-have, probably, if you want to make a good character. The build modifier that increases quality on equipment was required to maximize the energy shield from an item. This is a problem because you cannot pick up the best energy shield items off the ground. Eh? I just don't understand this. The veiled modifier that increases quality on equipment was required to max... Oh, wait, it was like the suffix on a shield, for example, with like 20% or so? That's probably referring to that if you want to get like the 100% highest armor, like ES shield or something. Second, the energy from not cluster jewels was too efficient to maximize your energy shield. This was like the energy from not. I think it was like the one with plus 100 flat energy shield. Pretty sure. Solution: replace the veiled modifier and lower the power of the energy from not notable. Compensate all characters for the loss of maximum energy shield by increasing the strength of all energy shield base types, adding more energy shield to the passive skill tree. That's like really good. Because like, the problem that I see is that there is some items, some points, some skill tree things. You know, even though if you look at the skill tree here, this is massive, you know? But in the end, I would say 90% of all raiders have the same pathing. 90% of all shadows have the same pathing. 90% of all witches have the same pathing, you know? Because there is just some regions in the skill tree that are just way more powerful. Let me just make a quick new template here. So what would be, I don't know, like a shadow starting area. I don't even know what build I'm going to play. If it's like elemental based, yo. Oh wait, should probably just gonna check the shadow over here. So what I'm going to do, either if it's like, I don't know, like essence drain, I would probably pass us this way. If it's like elemental based, I go this way, right? But hey, there is life nodes, there's multiplier nodes, right? Then I go over here. Then if it's a dot build, I take these nodes, and then I go up here because dot multiplier over here. Oh, I need more life. There is more life. Like, and you're gonna see, like, if you just open any essence drain character or any like other character, you're always gonna see the same pathing, you know? It's not like people go an opposite route, going like, I don't know, any other route, because it's not efficient. So what I want to say is like the passive tree is always like literally the same for almost every character, but what makes it special in that regard is the way you gear the character. And if you have like things like energy from not, which is like so powerful that you just need to take it, like certain areas of the tree, you know? I think it's like good that they just gonna hire passive trees and just remove the power of certain items. I also think, like, what about Unnatural Instinct, for example? This is like the best in slot jewel for like almost every build, because there are certain regions in the skill tree, if you put it there, you get so much benefits, even more for caster than it is for melee builds, right? So energy, 20% higher. So yeah, basically what this means is they just want to get more power towards the base item so everybody can profit of that, which I think is good. With a desire to increase armor, evasion, energy shield power across the board, we felt that the base values on items were too low. In addition, we feel that our system needs more base type heterogeneity. Dude, what is this word? Heterogeneity. Dude. No chance. Dude, I'm a poor English student. I have no idea what that means. Solution: base types are now generated with a random 0 to 10% higher base defense as an inbuilt, currently non-modifiable property. This means that all base types can be better than they currently are, and our base types are not homogeneous anymore. Energy shield values on base types instead vary from 0 to 20%. So what I see here is maybe the issue. I mean, we're gonna see how it works out, you know, because buffing armor, you know, like energy shield is like combined. Life armor, for example, you have your life value and you have damage mitigation. Energy Shield doesn't really have mitigation, but therefore you have a large Energy Shield pool. That's why Energy Shield characters, it's not rare that they're gonna surpass 10,000 Energy Shield, while it is like super hard to pass like 6, or like, let's say, comparable, probably even 6k life, 10k Energy Shield, right? But that's just because, like, we have armor, we have evasion, we can mitigate damage, so we don't need 10,000 life in our builds, you know? But energy shield builds have the problem that they have a hard time mitigating damage. But what I see here is that people are gonna probably then reach, like, instead of like 10,000 as a base value of energy shield, they probably gonna reach like 15,000, you know? And that just reminds me back on a time, I haven't played PoE back in the days, but I know from older videos that everybody was playing Energy Shield because it was just so superior to Armor or Evasion. So I hope we don't go back to these routes then. Problem, Energy Shield is most often used with Leech and Regen like life rather than embracing its unique recharge mechanic. That's totally true. Because in order to get the recharge, you actually need to not get hit for a certain amount of time, while Life Regen and Life Leech, based on like Soul Reaper or Soul Reaver, the one keystone that actually lets you leech Energy Shield instead of life, is permanently active. Like, why should I like make my life harder with this, right? Solution: increase the base recovery rate of Energy Shield and recharge. Rework the downside of the Wicked Ward keystone. Move improvements to Energy Shield recharge to the core modifier pool for Energy Shield gear away from specialized item mechanics. Like, I don't know. You know, I'm a friend, and I think a lot of other people do think the same way as I do, you know? Like, obviously, I would still prefer to have, like, high amounts of life, or at least energy, leech, and regen combined, because it doesn't have a downside. And here, even though I know once the recharge kicks in, I'm gonna recharge from 0 to 100 in, like, 2 seconds, which is way faster than regen and stuff like that. But in order to get that, I'm just not allowed to get hit until the recharge kicks in. You know, so I would still go with this side, unless they're gonna change it in a way that it's like very, very strong. Oh god, more text to read. Oof. Energy recharge at base amount 33% per second. So yeah, even faster now. Less maximum is that now runs 40% less energy shield recharge rate. Brings the recharge rate with Wicked Ward down to 19.8 per second, while before it would have been 20%. So it stays the same without a downside, based on comparing it to the previous expansion. Yeah, we're gonna see how that works out. Faster start of energy. Like, this is good. You need to stack faster start of energy shield recharge to make it really good. And there is not a lot of sources of that. I think there was like a craft on a shield. So new suffix modifiers have been added to all energy shield based body armor and shields that provide up to 66% faster start of energy. This is like really good. Because if I just don't have to get hit for like half a second to get my recharge, then this would be like overpowered, I think. Because the thing is, like, once the recharge kicks in and you get damage afterwards, you're still gonna have the full recharge. It doesn't stop. But therefore you don't have like life flasks for energy shield, or at least technically you can have, but let's keep it simple here, right? Craft and influence faster start of energy shield recharge modifiers on rings can no longer be obtained. God damn it, I was just talking about that. But it seems like they're gonna add shit tons of stuff on body armor and shields, which I think is like bad, because it is basically what I said in the previous video in part 1. What if my character just doesn't have a shield? It's gonna be a lot weaker, because I cannot get ailment immune, and now I can like have a harder time getting my recharge in and stuff, you know? So I don't like the shield part, because every character wears a body armor, every character has a helmet unless you use the keystone, right? But a shield is something, yeah, caster, I would say lean more towards shields or dual wielding wands or something, but generally melee builds, for example. But yeah, how many melee builds do you play as an energy shield character would be the next question, right? So, fastest start of energy shield recharge has now been added to areas of the passive skill tree, so you're just gonna bump it up. Ghost Reaver Keystone now prevents your energy shield from recharging periodically 50% less. Oh, now it's gonna prevent it. But as I said, like, if you go the leech route, you're gonna stay with the leech route, and probably with the leech route, you're probably gonna get a regen route as well with like what's it called? Zealotry something, Sal's Oath, in combination with the leech. Anyways, builds wanting to invest in both Evasion and Energy Shield rely heavily on Ghost Dance, requiring them to be a trickster. True. Give everyone access to Ghost Dance as a keystone passive. Nice. That's really good. Every 2 seconds, gain a Ghost Shroud up to 3, and you usually like stun immune while you have charges. Okay. Okay. Like, this is something, like, for example, for people that play the game for longer, they know Wicked Ward used to be an occultist-only ascendancy. And that made occultist so good for, like, energy shield bases, right? But then they just put it over here so every character has access to it. Trickster, I think Escape Artist and Ghost Dance was, like, the... I would say must-have, and then you get, like, the... What was it? Evasion Armor and, like, Energy Shield Helmet, so you get both benefits. You basically double dip into defense, right? But now they're gonna put Ghost Dance probably somewhere over here to make it equivalent to the Occultist. Which I personally think is a good thing, because Ghost Dance is like very, very, very good. So that opens up a lot of defensive utilities. But the question is what they're gonna do instead. I don't think they would just remove that and just be like, yo, you have now Escape Artist and good luck with that. So, builds wanting to invest both in armor and energy shield have no mechanic that gives synergy between the two. Yeah, that's true. Add a new keystone passive skill that adds more hybrid armor energy shield passives to the Templar section to the passive skill tree. New keystone passive called Divine Shield. Percentage of total physical damage prevented from hits received regenerated as energy shield per second. Holy shit. Can recover energy shield to a buff armor. I just don't understand what this basically means. Cannot recover energy shield to a buff armor. The same with here. Cannot recover energy shield to a buff evasion rating. Means if I have 5k evasion rating, I cannot recover more than 5k energy shield. But if I heavily invest into armor, getting like 10,000, like if you have a hybrid build, you're not gonna have 10,000 energy shield. We're gonna see how that... We're probably getting a lot more information on the patch notes, basically, and the big balance manifesto, if there is one. Some areas of the passive skill tree, the shadow area in particular, have no defense against and very little life regeneration to overcome damage over time effects. Well, almost no character has a lot of negating damage over time. Improve life regeneration modifiers on gear and add new keystones between the witch shadow area passive skill tree to heavily dampen the initial impact of damage over time. Okay. Because I know, like, for example, if you go, like, duelist area, you know, you have, like, a lot of sources where you get, like, what is it, like, life regeneration and stuff like that. And yes, it is true, there's only a very little. You have, like, here, life regen, for example, a little bit. I'm not sure if here is some... No, it's just life gain on kill. So, what would be the next source of regeneration? This is always, like, hybrid life, yes, but regen itself is actually quite rare. This one was attack damage leeches life. This is something you don't really have as a caster. You just take this as a source of base life overall. You cast keystone passive skills added to shadow area called Leaf Shade. Take 75% less damage over time if you started taking damage over time in the past second. 100% more duration of ailments on you. Yeah, but it's still a win situation. If an ignite lasts 4 seconds base, and instead of 1,000 damage per second, you get only 250, but therefore you're gonna get 250 damage in the course of 8 seconds, or every second in the course of 8 seconds. You still have way more, like, it's basically like this one defensive ability that you now have with, like, reserving life, right? Where you, instead of taking the entire damage up front, you're gonna split the damage in an initial hit, and then the rest as a dot base that you can then recover. I mean, I think this is a good thing to do. It's a big win, because you're probably not gonna survive 1,000 damage per second in the course of 4 seconds, but you can survive 250 damage per second in the course of 8 seconds, you know? So it's like a lot easier to sustain your damage, as long as you're not dying within the first second or getting one-shot. I've used specific mechanics around a lot of life regeneration, especially with endurance charge stacking. But for many other sources, life regeneration is not very powerful. Well, depends on how much life you have. Remove various sources of life regeneration per endurance charge or lower their values. Review effects to give life recovery rate and high values of life regeneration. Add new passive in strength areas and of the tree and grant life regeneration on one source of increased life regeneration rate. Well, I would not say that. I mean, I know that there is like these small little notes over here, which is like regenerate 0.2 life per second per endurance charge. The same way I think is over here somewhere as well. There's a second source of that. But the thing is like investing heavily into endurance charges comes at a cost, you know? And I think the physical damage mitigation from endurance charges and the all resistance overshine the regen part. Because even though my current build has like 10 endurance charges, like 1500 life per second, I can get 1500 life per second without endurance charge as well if I want to go in that route. So I don't really think that the life regen per endurance charge is like overpowered. If they want to add a life regeneration rate in combination with endurance charges, this is another topic. So, shadow attackers don't have a form of life recovery at the Exile, while almost every other character has a signature special recovery method. Add new passive skill clusters to shadow area the passive skill tree, allowing investment in combination of life on hit, life on kill, and life leech. This also includes source of maximum life recovery per second from life leech in the shadow area of the passive tree. Okay, I guess so. Witch and shadow casters don't have an accessible form of life recovery, probably the same. Block is a pretty fundamental form of defense available to characters, seeing as it is available on shields, but the Gladiator Ascendancy is far more efficient for block investment compared to any other class because of the Gladiator's versatile combatant, notable skills that grants much spell block as have attack block. Yeah, 100%. There is only 2 characters that I would right now think of that would actually be able to get max block, or at least efficiently, which is Gladiator, and I think Necromancer with like this bone offering thing, you know? All other characters, if they are max block, they usually refer to being max block while having glancing blows, which basically doubles your attack block. So I think Gladiator would be technically the only character where I would consider max block, which is kind of sad though. But it's a Gladiator in the end, right? The Gladiators are kind of dual wielding. Well, it depends. Solutions. Give everyone access to a weaker form of versatile combatant as a keystone passive and replace the Gladiator Ascendancy skill. Also improve how much block chance and spell block chance you can get from other sources. That's nice. So I could technically really make a Slayer getting max block without using glancing blows. Because I think everybody using glancing blows just to get max block. But it's a false max block. It only is valuable if you get something out of it. Like, let's say you gain life when you block or something like that. Otherwise, if you go max block without a source of that, you actually weaken your character because you still get 65% damage of the blocked hits, right? And still you invest a lot into block as well. So why even go for it then? So specifics, also grants minus 25% maximum chance to block attack damage and 25 to maximum. Oh, okay. This means that you have 75% chance to block attack. Allocating this keystone grants you 50%. So basically, max block refers to 75-75. Unless you're Gladiator, there are specific items where you can get to like 82% max block, I think. With this keystone, it basically makes your character be able to block as well, but is capped at 50%. So Gladiator will be the only that has actually 75% chance to block, or Necromancer, or if you build without this keystone. But still, in my opinion, 50% is still better than nothing, or having 30% block and 10% chance to block spell damage, and that's pretty much it. So I think this is kind of good. It just depends how strong will be the other nodes to reach those certain levels, because if it's heavy investment, it's just 50%. It's still 50%, but as I said, it's just always about how much do you have to invest to get there, because the more you invest into defense, the less damage you're going to have in the end, right? More access to spell block has been added between the Templar and the Witch sections of the passive skill tree. 16% attack block and 15 spell block. That's pretty good. I think 8% block chance was the highest on the like T1 perfectly divined on the shield. So now it's 16%. So yeah, I see where this is going. I like this. The question is what they're gonna do with the Gladiator, but this is pretty much the same as on the Trickster, right? Like, what are they gonna bring instead of Ghost Dance? And if the Gladiator Ascendancy here, the combatant, which was it like this 1-on-1, I think? It's still stronger, right? But this one is a weaker version of the skill tree, so there needs to be something in extra, I think. Maybe. I mean, in the end, you're still going to have 75% chance to block. Yeah, so problem. The pool of modifiers available in shields includes some that have values that are too low, aren't irrelevant to shields. The power level of shields modifiers in general is also too low. What I kind of read out of that, they want to massively buff stuff with shields, which I'm not a fan of. Like, not every character is using shields. Like, all of these, like, changes, like, yo, big modifiers on shields, more armor, more evasion shield, more everything on shields, you know? Better crafted ailment modifiers on shields. But what if I like to play Slayer with a big two-handed sword? Or Berserk, you know? Like, those kind of things. It's not gonna affect them at all, because it's still shield. Questionable, though. Because they always refer to body armor and shield, but I think, like, if they continue this route with, like, buffing all kind of shield sources, then why would you ever consider playing a two-handed weapon? Because you're gonna lack so much defensive options then. Yeah, it's all, like, buffs to shields. Accuracy rating, everything. As a defensive, blind was equivalent to an incredible high level of evasion with minimal character investment. That's true. If you have a fast attack speed character and a bestial or 1 point on the skill tree, I think it was like somewhere right on the side here, where you actually got like chance to blind 10%. Like if you're a Slayer, Cyclone or something, you attack over 10 times per second, so it's probably guaranteed that the enemy is blinded after 1 second. Make blind synergize with evasion so that it's more powerful only if you have built a very evasive character. The power level of new blind is significantly lower than before, but has more opportunities for further investment if you want to specialize in it. Okay. Less accuracy rating and evasion rating. This change makes it so blind is of no defensive help to characters who have no evasion, but helps if you... Wait. Blinded now cause targets to have 20% less accuracy? Which higher the chance to miss, but also for armor. Also have an offensive component, like if you want to lower the evasion rating of evasive monsters to make it easier to hit them. Blind effect is now available on a passive skill tree if you want to invest further. Saboteur Ascendancy notable passive skill that is tied to blind is being reviewed, and Flesh and Stone is being changed as noted below. I don't really get that. Maybe 20% less accuracy against evasion rating. That would make sense in the second sentence. But in the first case, I'll just see like monsters have less accuracy, so they have less hit chance. In general, it's not like... Unless percent accuracy reduction will only affect your evade chance. But every character has some form of evade, I think. I'm not even sure. Or it comes purely from dexterity. Might be. I have no idea. Sorry on that. Because Flesh and Stone blinded nearby enemies, yep, in Sense Dance, it was incredibly popular. The chances to blind have reduced its power, so now characters may be missing a low-cost defensive reservation effect. Feels bad. Solution. Reduce the cost of Flesh and Stone and change Tempest Shield so that it's a similar powerful defensive reservation effect. Alongside Arctic Armor and Flesh and Stone. The intent is that there are 3 competing defensive reservations effects that you are able to pick between or use together. So, has been changed back to 25% reservation. Tempest Shield has been reworked to become 25% reservation effect. It provides a large amount of spell block as well as an immunity to shock. This is like so good. Like, as far as I see at the moment, like, Shield Gladiators might be like even stronger than ever before. Not only Gladiators, but everything that has a shield. Arctic Armor was already buffed and provided immunity to freeze. Yeah, problem. Fortify is intended as a defensive benefit for being a melee character, but can often be obtained by spellcasters using melee weapons types that don't actually engage in melee combat. Yep. Change Fortify mechanics so its effect is based on your melee damage. Okay. So, what about this one keystone as a Pathfinder? Hardened Scars. If you have Fortify recovering... you have Fortify while recovering life from a life flask. I mean, this is nerfed anyways. Before that, it was like, as long as you have a life flask active, you have Fortify. Which is, like, so good. Like, back in the days, all the Pathfinder builds. But this is like a little bit weird. We're experimenting with a system that lets Fortify be applied based on melee damage dealt, so that tiny little melee damage hits don't provide a full strength to Fortify. This means that we'll be able to introduce a chance to gain Fortify on hit, on passive skills, or items which we've avoided in the past, but we're working to avoid a system where every spellcaster wants to run shield charge to get fortified at little cost. True. Our eventual goal here is that melee characters keep Fortify up reliably without a huge cost, while spellcaster and range characters won't have access to the mechanic without significantly invest or being a champion. That concludes part 2 of our 3.16 expansion balance change. Tomorrow we'll start part 3, which covers our plans for auras, curse, and elemental damage over time. Please keep in mind, as we're several weeks away from launch, elements of what we've written here may change after further play testing, feedback, and iterations. There are plenty more to discover in our upcoming reveal in Path of Exile Scourge and its patch notes. See you tomorrow. So the thing is, I do 100% agree that Fortify, or they want to make Fortify as a base melee thing. So I think Fortify, for example, Bleed Bow is the perfect example for this, right? A Bleed Bow Gladiator, it's a bow character. It's not like Fortify is a melee hit and not like an attack-based thing, right? So Gladiator, Bleed Bow Gladiator was like the go-to way because of the easy access to explosion and the better bleed buffs and so on. But the end version of a Bleed Bow Gladiator was not a Gladiator, it was a champion, because you needed or you wanted to have the permanent Fortify as well on your character. And I do understand that there is like, it's kind of shitty if you're playing like any kind of spell slinger and then you shield charge and get like the best defensive mechanics that should be exclusive to a melee character as well, right? It's just like stealing the defensive buffs of other characters, because you also have to think like, what can melee characters get if they act like a spellcaster, right? So it totally makes sense. So I kind of am okay with the change, even though maybe a lot of people will disagree. But it's just about the base core, right? Or maybe just make it a melee passive, or it's very hard to change that. But if they do it like based on how high is your hit, I don't know. What if you then run a falling shield charge with like increased crit and so it hits harder even for casters? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Like, as I said, I do agree that spellcasters should not have access to the most powerful melee damage reduction, which has been nerfed anyways, right? But we're gonna see how much more they're gonna nerf it in the future. But yeah, that sums up part 2 of the core character defense. So what we've learned now is they're gonna massively boost armor, evasion, and energy shield and armor based on like higher base value as well as evasion, but they completely remove attack dodge and spell dodge, and add the spell suppression up to 100% if you invest into it to reduce the spell damage that you take by 50%. So you can counter that as well, and not only against physical hits, but it's also the same with like armor-based characters. You know, they only mitigate physical damage, not elemental, and therefore they want to add more sources of maximum resistance in the kind of like probably Marauder area and stuff like that. So you can really go into that route as well, which I think is pretty good. So I'm fine with everything they write. I don't know, like, I mean, obviously there's a lot of parts that you can discuss, like what is good, what is bad, but in the end, we just need to wait until the league is live, until we test it, and then can say, your armor is now way too powerful, or 90% of people are now playing energy shield because you can reach easily 30,000 energy shield, which is like way more superior to any kind of damage mitigation. The only thing that I just don't like too much that they are heavily investing into shield mechanics, and not every character is using a shield, so I'm not sure. I don't want to go into, or I hope they don't go in a direction where they say like, okay, the meta is having a shield, and every non-shield user is off meta. I hope we're not gonna go into that, or they're gonna add something that is exclusive to two-handed weapons as well, right? We're gonna see about that. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.